Hey everybody, today I want to talk about something that is unfortunately my reality right now, sleep deprivation. Definitely for me the hardest part of having a small baby and with different kids on different schedules. So in the midst of my sleep deprivation delirium this past weekend, I had a revelation. There are so many ways that sleep deprivation is like being on a diet. Let me count the ways. Today we'll do the first half. Next week we'll do the second half. And then in 2 weeks from today, we will talk about ways to fix that, ease back into normal sleeping or eating patterns. All right, so number 1, you obsess over what you can't have. Most of the time I can't think about anything but sleep. It's obviously not intentional. I would love to move on and focus on other things, but it's just my brain's way of telling me that I'm not giving it what it needs. It's kind of just like when people are on a diet, or if you think of cartoons and there's a character who's really hungry and then all of a sudden they're picturing all of their friends or anyone they come across as some sort of like roasted bird. Anyways, this is consistent with the Minnesota starvation experiment from the 1940s. It was designed to better help understand how those affected during food restriction and famine during World War II, how to help them recover after that. So per the American Psychological Association, hunger made the men obsessed with food. They would dream and fantasize about food, read and talk about food, and savor the 2 meals a day they were given. There were even some notes that the men would collect recipes even though none of them were cooking. People with eating disorders who restrict food also have a preoccupation with food. Those suffering with anorexia think about food not only all day, every day, but often dream of food, so overnight as well. Those with bulimia might think about it a bit less, but it's still pretty high, around 70 to 80% of the day. So something that I try to work with people on is trying to think about food less. So we want to give enough thought to where, we know what we're going to eat and when we're going to be eating, but not so where we're obsessing about it all the time. Number 2, once you give in, you go too far. If given unrestricted access to sleep, there's a good chance I would sleep a good 17 and a half hours like Mr. Incredible and Incredibles 2. If you haven't seen the movie, Elastigirl, who is Mr. Incredible's wife, goes to work out of town, and in the meantime, Mr. Incredible is left with 3 kids, one being baby Jack Jack. As time goes on, you can see Mr. Incredible becoming progressively exhausted. Finally, he leaves the baby with a sitter overnight and proceeds to sleep for 17 and a half hours. You can just cue the sitcom daydream music there. If you're on a diet, you'll probably say no to Oreos or whatever food is off limits for you until you can't say no anymore. Then the common thought is, well, I ate one, so I might as well eat them all. After all, this will be the last time I ever have Oreos, or insert your chosen forbidden food here. And then the cycle repeats. This is known as the restrict binge cycle. In fact, a lot of research has suggested that overeating is a direct result of undereating. I've done other videos that kind of relate to this, such as the food is a movie rental and get while the getting's good. So you can check those out if you're interested. Number 3, anger, irritability, and jealousy, both in general and especially whenever anyone talks about the thing that you can't have. As a sleep-deprived mom of a young baby, nothing irritates me more than when people tell me they are so tired. Is that fair? Maybe not. Is the other person legitimately tired? Quite possibly. Am I in a state of mind to empathize? Not really. I'm sure many people have it harder than I do. And just because I'm tired doesn't mean that no one else is tired or that their sleep deprivation doesn't matter. Also, I don't want to hear about how great you slept last night, unless you're one of my kids. I get jealous when I'm tucking my 5-year-old in bed and know that she is expected to get a full night's sleep snuggled under her comforter. But that's what happens with deprivation. It clouds your judgment and reactions, and nothing matters except for you in this one facet of life. Same things with a diet. It's hard to consistently restrict food when we are bombarded with images, literally, of every single food on the planet all day long. Even with radio, commercials are describing what foods taste like or smell like, or the experience that you'll get while eating it. If you're dieting and people are talking about the great steak dinner they had last night with mashed potatoes that were to die for, you might just want to pop them one. And fuses are shorter in general because your brain isn't at its full potential. So those are just some ways that sleep deprivation is the same as being on a diet. And I have some more to share with you next week. I would love to hear your thoughts in the meantime. So I will see you then, and thanks for tuning in.